All right, so hello everyone. My name is Dr. Sylvia Hollis. Welcome to Intro to 235. This is a class that will look at African American history through at least 1865. I am going to provide a general overview as to how to access the portal for the class in case you're not familiar with Blackboard and the other resources that we'll be using. So first off, when you arrive to the Access Blackboard, let's do student view. This is what the platform is going to look like. You may, I hope, have already received a welcome overview in your email boxes that provides a general explanation about the course. A reminder, this is a distance learning course, which is not the same as a structured remote course. And if you would like further explanation about what that means, I've provided links at the bottom. But in general, a distance learning course is more of a self-directed course in which the readings are provided to you along with the other supplementary resources, and you are expected to follow through week by week by week at your own pace. And if at any point you have questions, I am and remain the professor. So I will upload general guiding prompts to help you understand what work is expected of you and why the various weeks that we're exploring are important to the topic related to African American history. But this being a distance learning course is different from a structured remote. Structured remote class is the kind of class that you imagine logging in at a specific time and everyone actually as classmates interacting together with the professor live in a virtual space. Distance learning does not have that component. This also is an accelerated 7-week course. So clarifying in case you are not familiar with what that means, the class starts January 25th and it will end on the 14th of March. I will provide an overview of how to access the course materials and also what these first assignments look like and how you can best make sure that the materials are in by February 1st. In terms of office hours, I do not have a preset time for you all to pop in virtually. And that's in part because in the past when I've tried that, I tend to sit live in a kind of virtual cloud and very rarely have people come into the space. And so maybe 10% of the whole semester that folks access the live feature. So I want to try to do something different. I want to, if you have at any point over the course of the semester a question or would like to meet regarding the assignments, and if it's material that's not already explained somewhere else in the syllabus or somewhere else on the Blackboard site, or if you would like to talk about what it is to consider majoring in general studies, or how I became interested in the field of history, or if you're thinking about majoring in history at the collegiate level or something, those kinds of topics, feel free to email me. This is an overview of the course objectives, and you'll see this also repeated within the syllabus. And I also have directions on how to log on to Blackboard. I assume you know how to do that because you're already here. Required textbook to Make Our World Anew, Volume 1. The bookstore has hard copies of it as well as digital copies. And of course, I provided these are little short videos on what the class overview looks like in terms of distance learning versus structured remote. Just sent this out this morning. It just includes just general guidance on our tutoring at Montgomery College. And so if you're interested in, I encourage you to enroll in any of these if you're interested in having tips on how study skills, plagiarism, the writing process, writing essentials. These are fantastic workshops. I will say that we don't use APA citations, we use Chicago. So that's less relevant, but do provide keep keep yourselves abreast of what the workshop potentials are over the course of the semester. So that's the home page. We have the announcements. Syllabus is here, listed right up under the home page. I will go over the syllabus last because it provides the most meaty content about what's expected in the class. When you are trying to figure out what work we're doing for the given week, so what's expected of you of the week, come to course content. In course content, on the outside of the folder, you will see an overview of what you are expected to do for that week. So we see here for this week, I want you to read an article by Allison Dorsey. I want you to read a small site main page called Primary Sources in Your Writing by the American Library Association. I want you to watch the film Cattle, Crops, and Iron. So these are the 3 things I would like for you to do. And in terms of how I will assess your work, I have questions listed up under each of these assignments. So once you read that article, answer the following questions. The article by Allison Dorsey will introduce you to how many historians thought about their work well over a decade ago. Dorsey relays an interesting story about a group of women that she overheard calling African American history, quote unquote, hidden. Do you agree or disagree with these women? Is African American history hidden, and why? Also, why was it important for you to stay enrolled in the course in early African American history? So I would like for you to answer that question, as well as the question after you read this other small piece, what's the primary source? I want you to be able to tell me what a primary source is and why it's important to understand and know how to understand and read primary sources. And lastly, once you watch the brief film, it's 45 minutes, Cattle, Crops, and Iron, I want you to be able to help explain how and why humankind migrated from the continent of Africa to all over the world, and how did the Iron Age transform life in Africa and pave a way for the development of rich urban civilizations. This being a class in early African American history, we have to begin in the continent because this is the historical root of the people that we are studying. The work is due by February 1st, which is Monday at 7 a.m. And now, the next question may be, how do I submit the work? Well, if you click on, and where's the readings? You click on week 1, you'll see here, this is the Dorsey article that I asked you to read. This is the link to the primary sources article that I asked you to read. This is the hyperlink to the film that I asked you to watch. Now, in terms of the summary of how to respond to the Dorsey work, you click this. And you see that at best, this is worth 3.57 points. You will have 7 weeks of these précis. These all add up to 25, which is what they represent in total. And so you may either write your submission within the text, or you can upload the file, write it in Word and upload it. If you choose to upload the file, do make sure that it is a file that is widely usable and shareable, something like Word or PDF. If it's a lesser used platform, it may be harder for me to open, and I'll email you. Which is why I also really encourage people just to write the submission within, like, you may write it in Word and cut and paste it over. Because if you enter it here, the Blackboard, it's much easier to access, but it's up to you. So I share that because you may receive an email from me. If what you send is in an unreadable format, you may receive an email from me that assesses, that tells you that. So same thing for the primary source lab. Once you read that article, you'll use, there's the question again that you're responding to. You'll enter the material here or either here. It's the same thing for the film critique. And that is the first assignment. For the announcements, we've talked about that. For how to access the course videos or the saved lectures, you will click on Tools. And then it's Blackboard, Ultra Collaborate. I'm uploading these weekly, but so now it's in progress, so it's recording. So you can't see it. But in general, once you, if you want to access what the recordings are per week, you will, once you click on Blackboard Ultra Collaborate, you will click on these 3 lines here. And then under sessions, you shift to recordings. You see nothing there now because there's no recordings there. But every week you will go here to look at what the updated recordings are. So now let's go to the actual syllabus for the class. So you see here, this is History 235. Like I said before, the class runs from the 25th of January through the 14th of March. This class is one of 2 related courses, the other being the second half of the history of African Americans. This class can be taken either in either order. So you could take the early history first and then the second, or you could take the second half of the history and the first. Topics include theories and the origins of human life and civilization in Africa, slavery in the ancient and modern worlds, Atlantic slave trade, slavery in Americas, transformation of Africa's to African Americans, development of African American culture, the anti-slavery movement, the attempt of African Americans to make civil war, a war for emancipation. In this course, it does not substitute for 236. It stands on its own. And so essentially these are the course objectives. You'll see that in the syllabus. You see the required course reading, which is that To Wait a World Anew, which you have in the bookstore in hard copy form, but also in digital version. These are additional resources. And something I really want to stress is that this semester will no doubt be a challenging semester because I want to acknowledge that we are still in a pandemic, and we're still in many pandemics. We are, if you're taking this class and live within, the borders of the DMV, not only have we experienced COVID, but we've also experienced an insurrection on the U.S. Capitol, and I have no idea what the various relationships you all may have to that devastating event on January 6th. But I want to acknowledge that there's a lot going on within this district, within this area, and so many of us are negotiating stresses outside of the class, and that can make us feel impossible or very difficult at times. But I do want to acknowledge that you being in this class matters, and I hope that you are able to use the energy if you're experiencing any stress, and like really try to see this place as a site of refuge, and find a kind of purpose in these projects. They're very thoughtfully organized. The literature that I asked you to read, the films I asked you to watch. The goal of this is to have you leave at the end of 7 weeks having a far more robust understanding of African American history. So first week themed is studying African American history, and you see here the work that's due by Monday is each of these quizzes are 15-question quizzes. So you have a quiz to complete. The quiz is going to be on the syllabus and the class itself. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I find that this kind of virtual learning space can be a little dizzying. I know different classes have different rules and different customs, but I really want to make sure that by the end of this first week, you all understand what is expected of you in this class. And so my goal of giving you this kind of quiz on the class, a quiz on what work is due, and all of these other things, isn't to be condescending. It's really to give you an opportunity to know what's expected of you, so that you, within the next weeks, the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, can rock it out. I want you to have all the tools you need. If you so desire to have an A in this class, I want the goal to be that you know what's expected of you so that you can have an A in this class. And so your first assignment is going to be a quiz. You also have a précis response that's due. The précis response is a written prompt that answers the question about the reading. You have primary source lab, and I've showed you where to get that information within course content. And then the film critique, and I showed you where the film is as well in course content. And so this is an overview week by week by week. We will follow the exact same flow for 7 weeks. And if you're curious what my evaluation metrics are for each of the assignments, this is it. If you want an A in the class, provide excellent, thoughtful response that's relevant to the questions that I pose on Blackboard. Where possible, the submission also focuses on historic significance of the topic, references course materials, films, and/or lectures. A B is a good response, but the work has grammatical errors or is submitted in a format that makes the response difficult to read. A C, the work is submitted, however, the work submitted does not place answers within the context of class readings, lectures, and/or additional resources included in the class. D, the work that submitted does not respond to the content in class at all. F, work was not submitted. And this is an overview of how the grades work. We have 4 criteria that will provide you your total grade. Weekly quizzes, weekly primary source labs, weekly précis, and weekly film critiques. Each are worth 25%, also 25 point. You add these up, you get 100. Please familiarize yourself with the student code of conduct. If you have any additional accommodation needs, please send me your letters so that I can incorporate those within my assessment of you and my assessment of your work. I do want to show up and make sure that I am the most supportive to any diverse learning styles and methods. And familiarize yourself with the rest of the content on the syllabus. It's your responsibility. I'm so thoroughly excited about the class. I look forward to getting to know you all over the course of this semester. And if at any point you have questions, I encourage your first place to look to be in the syllabus and the course website, the course content. Make sure that you review those first. And then if you still can't find answers, or if there's an error in what I outlined, something doesn't make sense, feel free to email me. If you want office hours, I think the best method is to email me with a suggested time in place. Like, can we meet at such and such time? And so it'll be an easier way for me to confirm availability. And I may give you a counter time or what have you. But if you want to send me what times best work for you, that kind of a thing, I'm here. Looking forward to getting to know you all over the course of the semester and to reading your work. And I just want to take the time and say thank you for registering for this class. I think we're going to have a great time. I know it's a unorthodox way to have a class. It's kind of a continual virtual space, but it's the safest way that we can right now. And I look forward to seeing your work.